Hello boils and ghouls, Ira Blackstone here with another episode of Behind the Keyboard. Today my guest is Geoff Brown, author of Hammered, My Life as an Addict, and he is also the owner and co-director of Cohesion Press, the wonderful company who puts out the SNAFU anthologies. Enjoy. Geoff, thank you for coming on today. It's a great pleasure, sir.
You're very welcome, Richard. Pleasure to be here.
Everyone says that, and you can slowly see that pleasure turns into, oh God, why did I agree?
Oh, we've all got a Facebook group, a private one, where we discuss how it's a great pleasure until it reaches a certain point, and then all of a sudden it's like, really? No, we haven't. We will. Starting that group as soon as we finish. Al's first joining, and then I'm getting onto Lee.
That makes perfect sense. I'm so glad to be, the inspiration for a Facebook group.
It's sort of like the Pirates of the Caribbean. You might not be the host everyone likes, but at least we've heard of you.
True. That's very, very
I'm
good
joking.
point.
We all like you.
You say that now.
Yeah, because we're being recorded.
True. Okay.
See, that's thrown you, hasn't it?
Just a little bit. First time.
My work here is done.
Oh, first time that's happened. That's not a good sign.
Oh, it's fun. Come on.
True. I have to admit, I've been doing this since the beginning of the year, and you are my 22nd interview and my first publisher. Yeah,
that's productive.
Thank you. It was, it's just kind of snowballed. So, you're the owner and co-director of Cohesion Press. How did all that come about? What was the, what made you decide to start your own publishing company?
I've always read and I've always written. Well, as far back as I can remember anyway. And I was doing a course to become a drug and alcohol counsellor. And I ended up switching courses over to the professional writing and publishing diploma at TAFE in Bendigo. I ended up with my wife, and I was going on about how there's never anything really cool that I like. There's not enough in this genre I like to read, which is high action, high octane horror with giant monsters, guns, bullets, explosions. And I think Dawn may have got a little bit sick of me complaining. And one night she said, for God's sake, just publish it yourself if there's not enough. So we did. And she's been kicking herself ever since.
Okay. So it was really that case of, I could do better than this.
Well, I can do something with this. There were writers of novels and such, but I like the short story form. I like reading short stories. One sitting, one story, self-contained. Yep. I mean, I love the novels as well. Writers like Jonathan Mabry, Greg Beck, Al Baxter sort of really moved well into that particular genre. I like to think it's because we've had a little bit of influence over him and the direction he's taken with some of his works. Sorry, Al. But I love the short story form. And I thought, no, let's do this.
Okay. And I mean, I've read a couple of the SNAFU anthologies and they're great. And I love the covers that you get done.
Dean, he's a genius.
Like, this is strange because actually I was tempted to submit to your last one. Unholy. Yeah, I was tempted. Yep. I was tempted to submit to that bit, and I just I was like, nah, I don't think I've got the balls or the skill yet to write for SNAFU.
Man, just write and send. All we can say is no, and then just rinse and repeat.
True.
What's the worst that could possibly happen? At this point, you're not in because you didn't submit. You didn't even make the shortlist because you didn't submit. We've published first-time writers, as in we've been their very first publication. And some of those writers have gone on to work with Hollywood.
Well, because you've got the link with Tim Miller and Love, Death and Robots, or is it separate to that?
Well, we work closely with Tim. Tim loved SNAFU since the first release, the very first SNAFU, which didn't have a subtitle. It was just SNAFU, an anthology of military horror. And he read that and loved it and read every release we put out ever since, from cover to cover.
Wow, that's an endorsement.
Yeah, and he's given us a great endorsement too. It's up on our website on the landing page.
Yeah.
His personal assistant, I got an email from a guy named Zach saying, "Hey there, I'm Zach from Blur Studios. I'm personal assistant of Tim Miller, you know, the dude who directed Deadpool and such." And I thought, yeah, wow, these scam emails, they're getting quite believable now, just in the tone and everything. He actually really sounds like he is. And it turned out he was.
Wow, that's.
I don't normally answer spam emails. Okay, I'll just put that out there.
Yep.
I checked out his name within the company website and email address and thought it's not going to hurt to actually just reply because it seems to be legit. And really, if somebody has gotten that level of spamming quality, they deserve at least a reply.
Of course.
See where it goes.
Yeah, and thank God you did your due diligence as well about it.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And yeah, here we are, 3 episodes in season 1 and 2 episodes in the upcoming season next year.
Wow. You must have moments where you kind of, pinch yourself for,
Every single day. Every single day. I sit down and put Netflix on and up comes a little thing for Love, Death and Robots. I think, wow, we're actually in that. Well, not we as such, the writers,
no, but
the writers, but we're in that. And we work closely with Tim. Wow, that's cool.
Well, yeah, well, that's the thing. I first, the way I came to SNAFU and Cohesion was through Tim Miller, because I'm a fan of the Deadpool movie, and also I'm a big fan of the Goon comics. And I remember years ago Blur Studios were trying to get it made and did a Kickstarter.
Yes. Yeah, that would have been so cool.
Oh yeah,
Tim's a massive fan, and he still wants to do it to this day.
I remember seeing
that. Don't give up hope.
Well, that's the thing. I'm an eternal optimist, and those short little those short CG, I don't call them trailers, but that they made for the Goon were just beautiful. And hearing once he did Deadpool was awesome. Then he's behind Love, Death and Robots, and just some of those animations that they get, some of the studios they bring in to do the animations, it's just amazing. And I mean, I read, doing my research about you before this, I did read an interview you did with Grimdark magazine where they asked the question everyone dreads, what's your favorite one?
All 7 of the ones we sold, for different reasons. 2 weren't even made, and they're still my favorites.
Okay. And
we had one that was bought for season 1, and it would have been absolutely stunning. But Tim looked at it, 3 different studios, and he hasn't found the right one yet. So who knows? It might yet be made. They still own the rights to it. And the same with another one that was sold but hasn't been made for season 2 or 2.1.
Okay, so there's still hope.
There is still hope. If it goes on to season 4 and 5, they still have the right. So who knows? Let's hope. Fingers crossed.
Okay. Okay, cool. Wow, cool. And in that same interview, you talked about that, you're basically a story consultant for him as well.
He puts out, Tim reads so much. He just devours books, and he especially loves the short form. Always been his go-to for whenever he's reading. But he hasn't got enough time to read all the anthologies that come out and are published that fit. So because when Tim first contacted, he one of the first things he said was, your taste is so similar to mine in this action, fast-paced horror genre section of what we're doing. Every story that's in SNAFUs, every story I've read has been good or great to a various level, because we have similar tastes. So he said, work with me on this. There's a massive spreadsheet of about 1,000 anthologies that had to be read. And he had a team of readers. There were 4 or 5 of us. And we're all reading within our genre and narrowing down and shortlisting and getting those ones that we think are particularly relevant to Tim, but then for him to then read as potentials when he was picking for season 2.
Okay. Wow. So no pressure there to pick a good one.
No. All I did was I thought, I'm going to only send him stories that we would have accepted for SNAFU.
Yeah.
If I read something and think that's good, but I don't know if it would have made the cut, I still kept a list of it just in case. But I think over the whole 6-month period, I sent him about 15 titles that he needed to read.
Okay. And then
I don't know what's in season 2.2 yet, so I don't know if any of those made the final cut. I know that a lot were shortlisted. He absolutely loved a lot, but it comes down to not just if he loves the story, but whether the story suits and works as an adaptation.
Yeah.
Whether it can be adapted.
Yeah, because that would be the big problem. You know, some certain stories would, you know, on a page, brilliant, works. And then you get to all those wonderful problems with trying to figure out, okay, how do you turn it into a visual medium?
Yeah, exactly. And that's a hard crossover at times, even for people who are used to doing that sort of thing, who know all the various ways to bring about the tricks and techniques that have been used within the written word into the visual.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I like very quickly. I started my career was trying to get movies made up here in Newcastle. I spent about 10 years writing movie scripts, and then I moved to Mexico, and that's when I started, you know, publishing, you know, books and everything. 2 different skill sets. So anyone who
Very much
can, you know,
all
look
storytelling, but different ways of doing that.
Oh, yeah, definitely. This is this could be a weird question, but
I've heard some weird ones. Trust me.
Okay.
Run a haunted lunatic asylum. Come on.
Well, I was getting to that one. I've got some questions about that one.
Okay.
But you know, I've never really spoken to a publisher before, like properly. You know, like brief emails with, you know, getting books released and all that, but not like this. So, what goes into running a publishing house?
Well, a lot of skills that I learnt during my diploma of professional writing and editing, including the editing side of things, the layout, the selection of stories, but it also comes down to the ability to pick the right stories that will resonate with readers within a certain genre. I mean, I think the more widespread you are in the genres you publish, the harder it would be. We chose a narrow niche, which wasn't being serviced particularly well. It was being serviced, but yeah, again, that goes back to why we started the press.
Yeah.
But being able to find the right people to work with for the skills I don't have, and just having time management, which has never been a big thing of mine, which is why we only put out 1 SNAFU a year.
Yeah.
It gives me time to stuff up. And oh shit, that was a deadline. I really should have done that. I haven't started it yet. Let's start it tomorrow. 3 weeks later, okay, yep, tomorrow's still tomorrow, so that's cool. But you need to be able to pick the right stories and know your target audience. It comes back to the writing skills in that regard as well. When you're writing for a target audience, you need to be able to, when you write, you need to know your target audience. Sorry, that's the opposite way around. You shouldn't be writing for your audience. You should know,
Okay. And so you saw that, you know, you're a fan of military horror and action horror.
It doesn't have to be military as such. Stuff like Dog Soldiers, Aliens, the Odyssey, which is one of the original military horrors.
Okay, so just action horror then would be okay. And you saw that wasn't really being satisfied.
No, there was lots and lots of really good, subtle, creeping horror. The feminine gothic side thing, but the in your face, oh my God, this thing's going to rip literally your face off. Where do I get a gun to stop it? That wasn't being serviced as much. And I like both, but I really like that's just a pure escapism. Let's kill some things, because we can't, kill people and stack them up 10 foot high at the tip. there's laws against that supposedly. What's with that? So yeah, I just take the, let's kill things that's not illegal to kill sort of writing.
That makes sense. I mean, and I totally agree. Like, creeping horror, that's all good and all, but sometimes you need the blood and guts splattering everywhere and just reveling in it.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely.
And I mean,
even some of those are subtle. Alien, the very first, that's still action horror, but on a subtle level.
Oh yeah.
So there are crossovers.
Oh yeah, I totally agree. I'd say even Jaws is action horror.
Yeah, creature feature.
Yep.
That's something we were big into as well. Love creature feature. Since what's that giant bear one that was affected by the mercury from the logging camp written back in the 70s, 60s and 70s, the peak of creature feature, when you had all crabs and everything like that, not the personal level, but the book crabs, and such Guy Smith and all of those writers.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow, that was really could have been taken badly then, couldn't it?
But imagine that like those sort of crabs get affected by radiation and turn into giant ones.
Didn't Brian Keane and Gonzalez write that? Clickers?
Yeah, something like I think you're right. I haven't read it, but I know the very basic plot. You're probably right.
Giant crabs, basically ripping the hell out of people. Brian Keane's another great writer of that more 70s, 80s schlock horror, which he obviously loves as well.
Yeah, there's just something about it that you get caught up in, just you said escapism.
Yeah, and the cheesiness of some. It's great. Yep. It's like watching Evil Dead and Ash versus Evil Dead and such. That's brilliant.
Yeah, totally. I mean, that's why I write. That's why I put out is action horror, because it's fun. It's fun to read. It's fun to write.
Yeah, it's just good old fun. There's no depth. You don't need to concentrate and follow the trail down the cosmic, dissonant sort of thing with the subtle creeping horrors. You're just out there watching shit explode.
You've just summed up everything I've thought when I've been talking to other people about it.
I am hoping that this is okay to be a not safe for work.
Oh yeah, go for it. Go for it.
Good, because I have been known to use all the swear words in one sentence, let alone one interview.
Oh, go for it. I've got no problem with swearing. I'm not a wilting flower. I'm not going to go, oh, my ears. No, I'll join in.
I've got a certain level of sweariness that must be maintained, because Dawn, my wife, doesn't swear. So I swear for the both of us.
Go for it.
It's a responsibility I've shouldered.
Oh, I can think of worse responsibilities to have to deal with.
Absolutely.
And so you said that, when it comes to putting together an anthology, you've got to be really good at keeping a theme in mind and making sure those stories match it. And
match each other.
Mm-hmm.
Stories, I mean, we've rejected some absolutely amazing stories because they haven't fitted in quite with the rest of the table of contents we've chosen, where we've gotten to that point, the final selection of the final few stories that we couldn't quite make our minds up about.
Okay.
And they need to work together within the anthology, as well as being great writing.
And how hard is that to, that must be really hard, to read these amazing stories and then sit there and go, shit, some of these don't, some of these are amazing, but they're not going to fit. That must be hard.
It's fun. AJ and Matt Summers and myself, all people who've worked on various SNAFUs. AJ's been with me since the second SNAFU, and Matt was with us for a number. There's been many conversations about what makes the perfect table of contents, and we've changed our minds a number of times. So some of these people that didn't make the final cut don't know that they had made the final cut in one of our discussions.
Ooh.
And then all of a sudden we discussed something else, and something else came in and took that place. So it's a fun process, but it just seems to work. Obviously works well enough for Hollywood to pay attention.
True, true. And I mean, in a way, you've kind of hit the like, for a lot of the other authors I'm friends with, we all talk, when we talk, we, it's like, oh, what's your goal? What would you love to have happen? It always comes down to adaptation.
Yeah.
Having Netflix, Amazon come to you and say, here's all the money, we want to make it.
And they pay well. It's a shame we don't get much of it at all. But it's good that the writers get it, because that's what we're about. We're about getting the writers out there, and as sure, we're out for sales and reach, but we want our writers to be successful because they deserve to be. But yeah, adaptation's hard, and sometimes I've known other authors here in Australia as well who have sold the options but not the rights, because there's a difference between the two. And with us, there's no options involved. It's just, hey, we want to buy this story. Here's a heap of money. Please pass it on to the author. Okay, cool. We'll take that, and we'll be the conduit.
And naturally, you take a like an agent's fee for that as well.
Yeah. Subsidiary rights. When we worked out our contracts, we looked at the Australian Society of Authors templates, because they are an organisation that works for the author. And we wanted to be author-centric as a publisher. We could have gone to the Australian Publishers Association, and that would have given us something that favours the publishers, but we didn't want to do that. We used the templates as suggested by the ASA. They suggest for subsidiary rights somewhere between 20 and 35% retained by the publisher. So we asked for 20%, the lowest of that.
And that's
because we think
fair.
that's fair, and that's right.
Yeah, that's a fair amount. I mean,
honestly,
if
35 just seems way too much.
Yeah, that's greedy.
It is, exactly, and we're not greedy. We all want. We want to make money out of it. Who doesn't? It's natural. It's a company. We have to do that. But the author is the writer. The writer is the author.
Yeah,
of course, they both mean right. But they deserve their fair share, not just their share.
Yeah.
Hence our option to ask for the lowest of the suggested range.
And I'm pretty sure most authors who, when you go to them, say, oh, look, this is what's happening, they're like, awesome, yep, fuck yeah, give it to me.
Pretty much. Although, for the first time ever, in this latest round for the contracting for SNAFU Holy War, we had 2 writers who pulled out when they saw the contract.
Really?
Oh no, I'm not going to sign the contract with that clause in there.
Wow.
I'm not sure if you saw that. Yeah, you did, because you answered.
Yeah. I said, no fucking way. I'd definitely be agreeing to that.
It's not something we would lightly ask for people to sign away that subsidiary rights and to give us the ability to negotiate on their behalf.
Yeah.
It's only because we have this pre-existing relationship with Tim and Netflix and other Hollywood content creators who have contacted us since Netflix as well.
Yeah.
So there's things that even most people don't know in that regard. There's another avenue that's currently open.
Wow.
And that's for feature-length work.
Damn, moving up in the world.
That's what we thought too. But hey, you start having somebody taking notice of you to the point that Tim and Netflix have, then others start to pay attention, because people watch what Tim does.
Yeah.
Because he's a big name. Let's face it.
Oh yeah.
He might be just another geek like us, a pop culture geek, because he is, truly, trust me on this. He's not up himself, but he is big in what he does.
Yeah, no. I can't imagine anyone saying no to that contract, honestly.
Well, 2 of them did. And I thought, well, okay, they might not be aware. I mean, if I was a writer, I'd be checking out the websites of the publisher that you submitted to. And I would see that there was a relationship there with content creators purely from having Tim on our landing page. Yeah. And it's all over. It's on our list of buy our books. There's in red on each book where a story has come from, contains such and such as seen in the Netflix series. So it's not hard due diligence.
Yeah.
So I thought, no, they might not be aware. So I sent back that, well, cool, I understand that you may have reservations about this. This is why we're asking for this. Now, we're not doing this just purely because, hey, it'd be cool to have adaptation rights, film rights, let's just ask people for that, even though we can't do anything with them. We can do things with them.
Yeah.
Now, Tim reads every single story that's in every single SNAFU. Other people look at what we do because Tim has done it.
Yeah.
We've got that reach now,
Yeah.
We're asking because we have that reach. And if somebody says to us, hey, we want to make a movie or a Love, Death, Robots episode out of this story, is this available? I want to be able to say yes.
Yeah.
We have the ability to negotiate for that rather than, hey, give me a week or so and I'll find out for you.
Yeah, no,
that
because
just doesn't look professional. And they might say, well, okay, cool. How about this one then? And then that first story is missed out.
Yeah.
Because they want something straight away. They want to know they can work on something. They don't want to sit around twiddling their thumbs for a week or 2 weeks while they get in touch with the author, ask for an addendum to be signed, explain the situation. This is what we're going to pay, blah, blah, blah. Please sign this, and then take it off, have a look over it. It's too much pissing around.
Yeah. And also with, my limited interactions with Hollywood, it's very much, it's got to go fast. You can't wait.
Slowly. It goes fast slowly. There are stages of Hollywood that's glacial, but they want their answers straight away. They want to say, right, we want this story. Can we have it? They want me to come back and say either yes or no. Not maybe. Maybe, guys. It might be a world famous production company, but yeah, you're gonna have to wait for my answer. Jim would be fine with this, I think. And he was the first time we did it.
Oh, okay.
Because we didn't have these rights when he first contacted us, because we never thought we would have the ability to use them. So it's not something we asked for. We asked for print and ebook, first publication, 12 months exclusivity. That was our basic contract. What should be a standard anthology contract.
Yeah.
After 12 months, do with it as you will. If a best of anthology comes along and asks to use it, we will waive that 12-month exclusivity because they're good.
Yeah.
But once Tim came along, I had to contact every single writer of every single story he listed to me and say, hey, I've got a guy who wants to make something out of your thing. Will you give us this right to negotiate? And if it's negotiated, we're going to throw a large chunk of money at you. And they all said, yeah, cool, no worries.
Yep.
So I had to get back to Tim once those addendums to the contract were signed, because he didn't want to deal with a ton of individual writers.
Yeah.
And neither does this other person that we've been talking to over the last 12 months. They just want to deal with us, and we deal with the outward network.
Yeah, because that makes sense, because you've already got that relationship, and these people, and if they go individually, someone might screw everything up.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly that.
Wow. So yeah, you really are living you're living the dream here.
Sometimes it's a nightmare, but yes.
Okay, so if you don't mind me asking, when is it a nightmare? Is it just chasing up authors, or is it?
It's the worst part. We knew about Love, Death, and Robots for 2 years before we could say a goddamn fucking word. 2 years, Richard, and we could not tell anybody that we were doing this. The nightmare part is keeping our mouth shut about things.
Jeez,
that was so hard. And the poor authors, they're all desperate to be able to say, hey, my story sold to Tim Miller. And they had to not do that, except to their closest loved ones. There could be no leaks. Netflix did not want any leaks of what stories were in the series until they announced the series and people watched the series. Once it was announced that, hey, this is our new series, Love, Death, Robots, blah, 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 we could then say we have stories in there, but we couldn't say which ones. Because Netflix wanted that to be a surprise. Tim wanted that to be a surprise. Otherwise, people would be able to read the stories and have some idea of what the show was like before they even watched the show. They wanted it to hit them head on like a truck.
Yeah.
Brakes had failed.
Which makes perfect sense on their end,
It does. It does. I get that. The impact would be much more meaningful. But man, that was so fucking hard. 2 years, man. 2 years.
Yeah, that would be, I don't think I could do that.
And we've got authors that are in that same situation at the moment. We can say we've got 2 stories, 3 were bought, but only 2 were made. for the next season of Love, Death, Robots. And those poor goddamn authors can't say a word.
Oh.
And they won't be able to until next year. And it's already been close to a year from the sales.
Jeez,
so it's easier for us than it is for them. At least we can say, hey, we're in this.
Yeah.
We just can't say with what. They can't even say they're in this. Who knows? How many people have you interviewed?
You're 22.
All Australians, or is it worldwide?
No, I've actually today, the latest episode to be released was with Jonathan Mayberry himself.
Oh, John's a lovely guy.
Yeah.
John's a very, very nice guy. We've had a lot of dealings with John. Who knows? Some of these people that you've interviewed may be sitting on this news as we speak, as you spoke. They may have been dying to tell you that, hey, this story is coming up in Netflix, but they can't because it's not out yet.
Yeah, well, actually, some authors I've spoken to have said to me, "Oh, I've got big news, but I can't say anything because of like NDAs and things like that."
Yeah, I hate NDAs, but I see the essential need for them.
Oh yeah, I mean, anything gets leaked and it's all over the internet. Everyone knows about it so
it's
fast.
Hard, yes. And it does. It takes away from the impact when the product is ready for consumption.
Oh yeah, especially with something like action horror. You can't have any spoilers, otherwise.
You lose the impact of the show.
Yeah, exactly.
And even if you have read one or two of the episodes, you think, oh, I know this. You might not have read it for a while, and your memory may not be quite perfect of it. And it's been adapted. The whole concept of adapting means it's been adapted. And Tim is true to the authors. He does his very best to find the shine in adaptation that was present in the writing. That special thing, that special sword that could be drawn from the stone and say, this is Excalibur. This is the perfection of why this story is great. He adapts that well.
Okay.
But, and if you already know what the sword looks like, then the impact isn't so great.
Yeah.
That's a weird analogy, isn't it? It's early. I've only had one coffee.
It's a weird analogy. It makes sense though.
Okay, cool. That's all that matters.
Yeah. And I mean, it works. When you've seen the final product of these adaptations, do you sit there and just go, fuck yeah?
Pretty much. Tim does great work. He might not make him and Blue Studios only made one or two, but they worked closely with the producers and directors to ensure that the final product was a good final product.
Yep.
And Tim he's a pop culture geek. If he wasn't who he is, he'd still be out there at all the conventions.
Yeah.
I've had a 2-hour Zoom meeting with Tim, and over an hour of it was spent showing each other our collectibles. That's Tim. That's who he is. He's just a pop culture geek, and he loves the shit. He loves it, and he's done well for himself, but it hasn't changed him. That's one thing I love about Tim. He is just a down to earth. I am what I am. I might have done really well, but it's through hard work, and it's not because I'm a better than you person. And hey, look at this skull from the Terminator movie. This was on screen. This is beautiful. Oh man, this is great. Look at my collection of signed Stephen King books. Oh man, they're so cool. That was our Zoom meeting.
And then eventually you get to the point you're like, well, okay, we've probably got to do work now.
Yeah, we got out of the way to begin with, and then we just devolved into look at this collection stuff.
That's actually a good way of doing it. Get rid of the boring, get rid of all the boring stuff.
And then have fun. Yep.
So you said that you only release one SNAFU anthology per year.
Yep.
And I saw on your website that you are just doing that. You're not putting out novels or anything like that. Why?
We were a victim of our own success in that regard. Timings of things, we were getting really good reach. We reached for distribution, print distribution throughout the North American continent, US and Canada. And we got it through Small Press Network. And that changed everything. the way they work is they get an order. You know, they have people out there, representatives going to all the bookshops. They get books in bookshops. So they can order 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 copies to be distributed.
Whoa.
And they want to be paid up immediately, but the sales are held for 6 months and then against returns. And that was working fine. We had a little bit of, you know, fun behind us because we'd started the Ghost Tour business, which is a good revenue. And we used that to secure and anchor Cohesion with that distribution deal. And then along came a release by Greg Beck. You know Greg?
I actually tried to get him on the show, and he's actually the only one so far to say no.
Oh, okay. Greg's good to work with. Greg's a nice guy, very, very work oriented. So it may just have been a time thing.
Yeah.
Greg has really strict structures of, you know, working in time and all that sort of stuff.
Oh yeah, the email he sent to me saying no was very polite and, you know, very much very nice, very polite. He said, you know, I've actually got one of your books here I want to read one day, so good luck with everything. I was like, okay, no problem.
Greg is like that. Greg is so nice to people. He's just a lovely guy to deal with, well spoken. Where were we going with this?
Why are you just focusing only on the anthologies and the small network?
We released Greg's next. It was the Giant Shark book, and the sales, the pre-orders. It got to the point where they were holding so much of our money, and we got to the next round of when we need to pay our authors.
Oh.
And they were holding so much of our money. It was twice what we needed to pay the authors, but we wouldn't have it for another 3 months.
Oh, geez.
So we made the decision, rather than piss around and say, hey guys, sorry, we owe you this, we can't pay you this, but we still want to keep publishing your stuff and all that sort of stuff, but you'll have to wait for your money. And it would have balanced itself out in 1 to 2 years.
Yep.
But I didn't want to make the authors wait that long. So we made the decision that rather than not pay them, we would end our contracts and give them their rights back, and they could go and republish their work with other people. And we would then say to Small Press Network, dude, we're pulling out of this distribution deal. Please send us what you can immediately. And then we made up and we paid the authors as soon as possible. We didn't want to dick people around and be one of those publishers that end up behind in everything for years. It's not the right thing to do. We've always been author-centric. So we didn't think we could do the right job by the authors. So we decided to just pull back to the anthologies once a year and stop with anything that needed ongoing royalties.
Right. That makes a lot of sense, honestly.
Whether it was the right decision or not, I think some of the authors would have been fine, but I've always been a very vocal advocate for authors and getting the right deal from publishers. We couldn't be seen then dicking people around against everything that we'd ever said.
Yeah, and
it still took us a while to pay them, but people knew they were getting their money, and they had their rights back, and then could immediately sell them to another press and get income from that book.
Yep. Okay.
Because they deserve it. They've written it. They've worked on it. They need the income from it.
Yeah. And do you think at some point you might start opening up a bit more, or is it just, no, 100% we're going to do the anthology, doesn't matter?
Question. At the moment, no. The workload for the rest of the company with the Ghost Tours and working with Netflix and doing what we do with Cohesion is pretty intense at the moment.
Right.
So, I mean, we've always, when we started Cohesion, we had the concept that it would be a nice little nest egg when we retire to still have that money coming in from something that's a passive income to a large degree. Once the book's published, it just earns on backlist. It might not be big, but you have enough work out there and it becomes something.
Yeah.
And we would be getting a percentage of something. But now with just the anthos, we're we pay outright, and we pay well. We pay pro rates.
Yep.
But the authors are are paid for their story. We don't have to worry about ongoing royalties and all that. Once we retire, sell the Ghost Tours business and keep Cohesion, and we just sit back.
Right.
Continue to put out Antho once a year, end up with 30, 40, 50 SNAFUs out there over the time period. And Bob's your uncle.
Actually, I do have an uncle. No, actually, I do have an uncle called Bob. So you're right.
Okay, well, Bob is your uncle. Yeah. Beautiful. I love it when that works out. Thank you. Thank Uncle Bob for me too.
I definitely will.
Actually, thank his parents for naming him that.
I've never met them, but if I ever get to, I definitely will, because
track them down.
Oh well, he's the. This is a tangent, but he's the husband of one of my mum's sisters. So.
Okay.
So that's why I'm not sure about the parents, but I would definitely, thank him for.
So he's an Uncle Bob by marriage, not by blood.
No, by marriage.
Imagine if he was both.
Ooh, that'd be weird. I think that'd be one of those cases. No,
nothing against your family at all. Sorry, that's the way my mind works.
No, it's okay, because actually, what went through my mind is, well, if he's my uncle by blood and by marriage, and I'm my own grandpa. That's where I was heading.
Could be. Oh my God, we were talking the other day. Somebody I know knows somebody whose father is also their brother.
Are they from Tasmania?
Oh, you went there. You went there. I wasn't going to. No. Oh no, Tasmanians are wonderful people. I know a few. I'm not going to go down that road. I normally would, but I'm not. And I don't. I never do.
My brother's uncle. No, my dad's brother. Sorry. So my dad's brother. He lives in Tasmania. So. Oh yeah. No, cool. That was an easy call to make anyway. The joke. So.
Yeah. So back to the question. We were a victim of our own success. We put out, we had that distribution deal in place, and then we put out a book that would have sold tens of thousands of copies, and we just couldn't afford, with the long retention time for the payment from the distributor. We were caught in the middle.
Okay.
All this money had gone out, and none of the money had come in, and we're sitting there with none of the money and wanting to do the right things. So we thought, I don't think we'll ever go back to royalties. No, I don't think we'll ever go back to publishing single author collections or novels. I like this concept of just paying an author everything. Here's a large chunk of money, man. Here's pro rates with the chance to get a massive chunk of money if an adaptation comes about. But that's the end of the work on that book. The book just sits back in backlist, and we focus purely on the front list, the current titles and the upcoming titles.
Which, in a way, especially with how, with the pandemic, everyone's just going, right, let's binge everything, let's pound through content.
Yeah.
An anthology, a short story collection seems a lot more, or even just a short, like a novella, seems more business savvy to do right now than the individual, full-length novel kind of things.
Yeah, I mean, there's place for both, and there's fans of both. But yeah, it's just what's working for us at the moment. But let's just focus on building our ghost tour business, because that is a lot of work. We work 12 hours a day.
Wow.
I'd say 6 days a week, but our one day off, which is normally Wednesdays, we still work anyway, because people still ring from midday through till 9 p.m.
Jeez.
Although they ring 24 hours. Some people think we should be answering the phone at 7 a.m. Others think we should be answering the phone at 1 a.m. Because obviously we're a ghost tour, so we're going to be open late, so we'll answer.
Yeah, of course.
We do 9 hours a day, and we do that. Yeah. So it's a lot of work.
Jeez. And I mean, where'd that come? Like, because I've I wanted to talk about it because when I see, my dad loves all that sort of stuff, and when I told him that you run a you have some haunted asylums in Victoria, he's like, ooh, and he said, ask him.
A haunted asylum, it's a massive one, but we only own the one.
Oh, sorry. Well then, like
part of one.
Oh, okay. You're slowly going, it's slowly getting smaller.
Well, that's enough. It's about 8,000 or 10,000 square meters of buildings at the moment.
Yeah, that's actually that's
Four,
actually
four buildings, one of
wow.
which is a massive ward, one of which is the massive central recreation hall, foyer, which used to be the kitchen and the
Mhm.
storeroom with the cellar, and the medical ward, which is quite large, and the high security male ward
Okay.
for the dangerous patients.
Okay. So that's why you lock up the rowdy tourists.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So where that who wakes up one
I
morning and
was
says, "I'm going to buy it. I'm going to do this."
Nobody, not even us. We didn't wake up one morning and say we want to do this. This was thrown at us.
Right.
Okay. I was the president. First off, I was the vice president of the Australian,
Mhm.
what's now the Australasian High Riders Association. And then after 2 years of VP, I moved up to president. And I was president for 2 years. During that, I saw the HWA having a haunted house retreat.
Oh,
And I thought, wow, I really want to go to that. That sounds so cool. That house looks amazing. Ooh, why don't we do something like that here?
okay.
We could do it as a fundraiser for the AWA.
Mm.
So I started looking at places we could do this. I spoke to the committee. The committee was saying, oh, yeah, that sounds cool. I started looking at places we could do this. And there's a few. There's some haunted houses. There's the quarantine station in Sydney. And there's 2 asylums here in Victoria. I'm thinking, I don't have to travel too far. I'm lazy like that. B, asylums, man, they're the coolest of all the haunted things.
Of course.
You know, you have different levels of coolness within paranormal situations.
Mm.
And at the very top of that list is what was termed back then a lunatic asylum, which is not politically correct these days. And the names of the asylum changed to
Mm.
reflect the different community values. But when it first opened, it was Beechworth Lunatic Asylum. It was Ararat Lunatic Asylum. So I contacted both. Ararat got back to me. I spoke with Nathaniel from Erie Tours.
Mm-hmm.
He is the resident ghost tour operator at Ararat. He leases access from one of the universities in the western suburbs, Melbourne. And we can do that. We can carve off a weekend for you. We wanted to make it a full weekend, arrive on the Friday, leave on the Sunday, sleep 2 nights in the asylum, get all this inspiration, do a ghost tour one night, do a paranormal investigation with all the ghost hunting equipment the second night, and the rest of the time have to wander the grounds and take your typewriter or your notebook or whatever the hell you write on out there and write in a place of inspiration. We
Nice.
got 26 people sign up for that first one from memory. It was in the 20s anyway.
Mm.
And it did well. So we ran one at Beechworth through what was then Beechworth Ghost Tours, which was a separate industry, separate business to us. And we noted we had a couple at Ararat, we had a couple at Beechworth. Then I moved on from the AWA presidency. Cohesion was starting to build and all that sort of stuff. And I was working as a teacher at Bendigo TAFE, teaching in the professional writing and editing course that I'd graduated from 2 years earlier.
Oh, wow.
And all of a sudden, I just didn't have time. So I moved on, left the AWA in more capable hands. And at that point, we'd spoken to the second writers retreat at Beechworth. I didn't deal with Beechworth Ghost Tours. I dealt with the owner of the overall facility, because that one's privately owned, not by a university or the state government or anything. It's privately owned by 2 local families who formed a company to buy it and subdivide and resell the tourism and that sort of industry and arts.
Okay.
And one morning, a Friday morning, I got a call from George, one of the owners, the representative of Mayday Hills Proprietary Limited, Mayday Hills being the ultimate name of the asylum.
Mm.
He said, "Oh, Geoff, how are you?" He said, like that, down to earth, a bit of a bogan like me, in a good way, not a bad way. "I've got a proposition for you. Buy some of the asylum and run the ghost tours. I want this current group out." I said, "Oh, George, really? We haven't got the money to do that. I'm a part-time teacher and I'm studying a Bachelor of Arts in professional writing and publishing purely so I can get a little bit more Oz study on top of my part-time wage so that we can survive." And he said, "Cool, vendor finance. Just pay me off monthly." He gave me the gist of the deal and I thought, "Oh, that's probably doable." So I said, "George, give me a week. I'll talk to the missus. We'll look at what we can do and I'll get back to you in a week." Now, we were good friends with the manager of the old Beechworth Ghost Tours, and we spoke to her about how hard and how it's run to a business like that, because we'd never done anything like that. I hadn't done a diploma in running ghost tours. I don't think they have those. I hadn't even done business diplomas or done no business courses or anything like that. I had basic common sense and a bit of inspiration. And I spoke to the old manager and she said, "Oh, no, it's a pretty good income. You'll be able to pay this off if they want this much. You'll be able to make that per month and cover all your fees." So we rang him back in a couple of days and said, "Yeah, George, we'll do it. Sign us up." So we put ourselves $500,000 into debt at that point and moved over here to Beechworth.
Whoa. And you're still there and it's still going. So you must be doing something right.
Still going. We went from owning 2 buildings when we moved here and renting a house in the main street to owning 4 buildings and owning the house we live in.
Nice.
The company owns it, company property. So it's doing well. So that is why that we dropped. Another reason we dropped back, well, one of the reasons I listed earlier, we dropped back on our releases through Cohesion, purely because this company takes so much of our time.
Yeah.
But it's growing well.
Yeah. And I mean, to be able to, you said $500,000 in debt, to be able to get out of that, the extra buildings, owning the house and dropping
we're not out of that. We just added to our debt.
Oh, okay.
Good business advice. Use other people's money to make yourself rich, usually lenders, banks. Use their money to make yourself rich, asset rich.
Okay. All right.
That's what we've done. We're asset rich, cash poor. We own a ton. The bank owns most of it. And we're happy.
Okay. So
sounds weird, hey?
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
When we do retire and sell off the trading as of Asylum Ghost Tours, the sale of that, due to the revenue that comes through, will pretty much pay off everything we own, including the buildings, because we won't sell the buildings. We'll lease those buildings to the new Asylum Ghost Tours owners for a monthly fee for them to have the access to run their ghost tours and them to make all their money.
Okay. Well,
that will be our income.
Plus whatever you get from Cohesion. So you've got
exactly.
Okay. It makes total sense.
And we'll keep Cohesion going. We'll keep putting out a SNAFU every year because I do that for love, not for money.
Yeah. Oh no, it's obvious that you love doing the SNAFU stuff, and also it's just hearing all that, you've got to have a passion for doing the ghost tours as well.
It's good fun, man. It's every writer's dream, scaring the shit out of people and getting paid well for it. Writers don't get paid well. We all know this.
Yeah, that's
unfortunate.
Yeah.
Oh, because we have no choice. As a writer, I know this. We are compelled to write.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We go nuts if we don't create.
100%.
And we live well enough. We have simple tastes, and we might own $1 million worth of goddamn real estate, or at least be in debt $1 million worth of real estate. But we don't spend a lot of money except on my signed Stephen King collection.
You've got to have those vices, and there are worse vices to have.
It's an investment.
Yeah.
If ever things get lean, we can sell them off. We could try and talk me into selling them off.
Yeah, there we go.
Probably a few I might part with, maybe. We don't live big, And I still go down the street in tracksuits and moccasins. I don't give a shit what people think of me, and I don't preen like a peacock. Anyone who knows me will tell you I'm straight up. I'm still a bogan from the western suburbs of Melbourne, where moccasins are considered dress shoes.
In Mexico, they're considered dress shoes as well.
There you go. See, perfect.
And I mean, I've never been on a ghost tour. I've never been to an asylum.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my God, man. You know we're running Asylum Fest in October, don't you?
Now I do.
You haven't, it's in the AWA group. You're in the AWA group.
Yeah, I am.
I even commented on it yesterday to bring it back up the top of the
I
feed.
haven't looked at it today yet. So
Asylum Fest 2021, the inaugural Asylum Fest. It's going to be held the last weekend of October every year.
Mm-hmm.
This year happens to be Halloween weekend, so perfect start.
Ooh, that's
Authors,
nice.
Publishers, tables selling books and book signings and merchandise.
Ooh.
On the Saturday night, a ghost story competition. Authors go up on stage, wired with a mic, tell a ghost story, and the winner, as decided by the audience, there's a cash prize for $5 per head attendance for the entire weekend.
Wow.
We thought we actually wanted to do it for free, but this way we had to put tickets in to limit the number of people that can attend. We're limiting it to 50. We've only sold 11 tickets.
Okay,
so there's still 39 left. And all that money goes towards cash prizes for the winners of the short story competition.
Oh.
We're not doing this to make a profit. We'll probably even end up at a loss once we hire the sound equipment and all that sort of stuff. We're doing it because I think it sounds really cool to run a ghost story competition in the Bijou Theatre, the haunted theatre hall of a haunted lunatic asylum. It's something I've always wanted to go to. Here I am running it.
Just hearing you say it, I've been writing down, and when we're done, I'm going to go check out the post on the in the Facebook group, and I'm like, I'm
book
just
your
sitting
tickets,
here.
man. Book your tickets. Once word gets out, I mean, there's only 50 people attending. I can tell you a few names. We've got Adrian Collins from Grimdark Mag is coming down.
Ooh.
Alan Baxter's coming down. Karen Warren's coming. Kat and Robert Hood coming. And
that's a good crowd.
I'm hoping they're all going to be bringing their books and doing signings and selling and talking, and it's going to be good.
Oh yeah.
Kat Sparks, Robin Hood. God. I couldn't think for a second of Kat's surname. No, that's why I only said Kat and Robert Hood. But yeah, Kat Sparks, Robert Hood. There's a who's who of Australian horror.
Oh, nice.
And we're all going to have books. We're going to have signed SNAFU books there. We've got signed copies of our latest release, Love, Death and Robots, the official Netflix anthology. We've got copies there signed by Tim Miller and David Fincher.
Ooh.
The two producers of content there, which is, if you know filmmakers and such, Tim Miller, we've been talking about him.
Yeah.
David Fincher started his career in the action horror side with Alien 3, and then he moved on to, he did all sorts of strange things, up to and including Mindhunter, the Netflix series, which is amazing.
Oh, well, see, I went to TAFE up here in Newcastle. I did filmmaking. You know, I got my cert for in that, and you would get at least once a week the big discussion about David Fincher.
I've never actually spoken to David. I can't lay claim with that. He's the distant partner. Tim is the mover and the shaker within the Love, Death, Robots thing. David just loves what he's doing, so he became involved as executive producer. But yeah, I love David's work.
Oh yeah, he's done some amazing stuff, and he straddles horror with a lot of the stuff he does.
Do Benjamin Button?
Yeah,
and there's a number of big films he has done.
Oh yeah,
Seven.
Yep,
Seven's another one.
And
so we've got 20 copies of Love, Death, Robots signed by Tim Miller and David Fincher.
Oh, okay.
So we'll have a few by then that we're selling there.
Oh, I'm getting more and more in for this.
I'm still making sure that Amanda Spedding, the co-editor of the SNAFU series, is going to be there. She hasn't 100% confirmed yet, but worst comes to worst, I'll hire someone to kidnap her and drag her down. So AJ is going to be there.
Wow.
So you can get a copy of Love, Death, Robots signed by the two co-editors and David Fincher and Tim Miller.
Oh, man. Well,
And Love, Death, Robots, it's a beautiful book. Man, that color of the cover, that purpley blue, is amazing.
I was looking at the Cohesion website, and I saw it there, and I'm just looking at it going, oh yeah.
Stands out, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That cover was actually designed by Tim's wife, Jennifer.
Oh,
She's a graphic designer, a very, very good graphic designer.
no,
She's never worked on books before, yet there she did. A beautiful, beautiful, beautiful book cover.
Oh, it's eye-catching as all hell.
Yeah, and the layout of the fonting and everything is beautiful. It's like it's done by a professional.
Yeah.
And she is a professional, but it's like somebody who is used to and has worked within the book cover industry, and she hasn't. That's her first.
Wow.
It shouldn't be her last, but God, she hasn't got much time.
Well, yeah, it's amazing how some people kind of, they've got a knack for doing covers.
Yeah, doing anything. She's just a great graphic designer. She's got an eye. She went and looked at how book covers look, and then she replicated that to perfection.
Yeah. Ooh, okay. I'm probably going to show up for that. I probably
would love to have you there. It's $5 for the weekend, source your own accommodation. There'll be catering to some degree there. We'll have a couple of food traders there that you can, we'll get the local carvery to come up and have a table for
nice.
Saturday afternoon and dinner time, if we can. So you'd have all the roasts in rolls with all that sort of stuff. And yeah, there's plenty of to eat in Beachy.
Well, funny enough, I've never been to Melbourne. I've never been down that way before.
We're not Melbourne. We're right on the border of New South and Victoria.
Oh yeah,
we're the Victorian side of it. We're 30 k's from the border.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's Beachworth.
We're just below Albury.
Okay, let me rephrase. I've never been into Victoria. Let me rephrase it like that.
Okay, yeah. All right, well, come on down. Come to Asylum Fest.
Yeah, well,
buy your tickets, book your accommodation, and get down here to meet all these people in person.
Well, that's
do
the thing.
Do a podcast from there. Well, do a podcast from the goddamn haunted Bijou Theatre.
It's perfect.
Yeah,
do a round table.
Run a panel for us.
Yeah,
host a panel.
Oh shit, yeah, I'm in for that. Yeah, because I did one a couple of weeks ago with Alan Baxter. And that was a great chat with him.
Al's a top guy.
Yeah,
known Al for years.
I've since coming back to Australia, I've not had a lot of like I've never been to a convention before except was it the StokerCon, but they did online. I did that.
Yep.
And that was fun, but I was stuck in a hotel room for quarantine.
Yeah, it's sort of the convention you're having when you're not having a convention.
Yeah, it was okay.
Have that connection.
So
everyone's there, but they're remote.
Yeah, so
to be done.
This sort of thing is like, oh yeah, that's
This is a good start. This is a very focused horror collection, Australian horror writers collection. Convention.
Oh yeah, and I mean,
it's not the bigger pop culture conventions where it's just across the board.
Yeah,
but it's.
Oh no, it's I'm definitely
Nobody's getting paid for anything except the winners of the short story competition.
Yeah, this is, as you said.
I'm buying a goddamn ticket to my own goddamn convention.
Okay, so you're one of the you said 11 have already got their tickets.
Yes.
So you're one of the 11.
Sadly, yes. But I think people have been too scared. We only opened up to 50. There's only 11 people coming so far.
With that, and
but it's going to be a small. We're looking at the long term. This will build up over the years.
Yeah.
Every year will get bigger and bigger.
Yeah, and I mean,
but it's an intimate thing this year, so it's a good way to meet and really make that connection with some bigger names within the Australian horror community.
And as far as a first proper convention goes, I'm like meeting other authors, getting to meet you in person, and also haunted asylum. What more could you want?
Exactly. You can jump on a ghost tour while you're there, or a paranormal investigation.
Oh man, you've sold me. You've definitely sold me. You'll probably get a message from me later saying, are you serious about doing the panel? Because I gladly will.
Don't have to worry about messaging me. I'm serious. Run a panel. Pick a topic.
Oh,
I'll get your panelists.
Awesome.
I'll show people when people always say, right, you up there on stage, panel now, 5 minutes.
I'll have a think about the topic and I'll let you know. No, this is
please
awesome.
Run it.
Yeah, no, awesome.
The afternoon on the Saturday. There you go. There's your time.
Oh,
Because we have to go story competition Saturday after dinner.
Yep.
We've just got meet and greet and chat and all that sort of stuff through the Saturday Arvo. So we need a panel or two. So there you go. There's the first one.
All right. I'll figure out a topic. I'll let you know what it is and we'll go from there.
Beautiful. I'll rope some people in for you. I'll tell them they're on it.
Perfect.
Al, for starters. Al, if you're watching this, Al, you're on this panel, okay? Karen's lovely. Karen might jump on there if I ask her nicely, and I will ask her.
Oh, no, great. And I mean, who could say no to you? That's the other thing.
No, lots of my wife's behind me laughing. She just sniggered at that. Lots of people say no to me.
Maybe you're just not asking in the right way.
No, you're not human, Geoff. No, you are not a nice person. And definitely no, I don't want anything to do with you. I tend to be polarizing within the writers community.
Really?
Yeah, because I call a spade a spade. I tell people when their cover looks shit. And some people put their things up and say, please tell me what you think of this. But they don't actually want to hear what you think of it. They want you to say what they want to hear. Everyone's fine with you being honest until you're honest with them. And suddenly you're a fucking asshole. What's with that?
Yeah, no, I get that. And I mean, Alan Baxter, he's just like that as well. Spade's a spade.
Yeah, Al's straight up.
And I mean,
Al's a bit more diplomatic than I am, though. Al will say, hey, that's not probably great. Whereas I'd say, you stop that. You're a shithead. Fuck off.
See, sometimes diplomacy is overrated. And when someone is being a shit,
always overrated.
And when someone's being a shithead, they need to be told to fuck off in the best way possible.
They need to be told that they're a shithead.
Yeah.
And if other people are telling them, oh, no, you're wonderful, you're lovely, they need to hear that they're a shithead.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, like when you connected for this and we sat, even when we were organizing this and we were having that chat, I was like, yep, this is my sort of guy, my people.
Yeah, I tend to be like that. But a lot of people like me, respect what I do, like what I do, but a lot of people don't like that I am honest and blunt and straightforward and can be a real prick about things. I'm the first to say that. I can be a prick about things.
We all can be pricks.
People silently applauding, watching this right now, thinking, yeah, I've said that. I'm glad that you're saying that. But I know that I can be a prick about things, but I don't have, I'm getting on now. I'm in my 50s. So I haven't got time to fuck around.
Yeah.
People are shit. I tell them they're shit. Fuck off. Get out of my life. You are like, stay.
And that's how it should be,
Exactly. Especially got time for anything else.
Yeah. And especially in the, in the publishing, and especially with horror publishing, you need to be able to quickly say, no, you're not doing it right.
Shitheads who are taking advantage of others, shitheads who are not doing their job properly, they all need to be told that they're a shithead and they're taking advantage of people, or you're a shithead. You're not doing your job. That's not what you're meant to be doing. If you're a publisher, you're meant to be doing this, not paying freaking royalties on an anthology and not paying people for their stories originally. You're a shit. Fuck off.
If more people
like that, and
if more people were like that, harmony.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not sure if harmony is quite the right word there, Richard. There'd be some, but I know what you mean. But I'm not quite sure that a harmony actually describes that state of nirvana that we're talking about here.
Well, harmonious chaos.
Harmonious chaos with some violence and lots of sweary.
It's all the good things in life.
Exactly, that works for me. I have a criminal background, a borderline crim, drug addicted, mixed with the wrong people, and then watch Underbelly years later and think, oh God damn it, why was I mixing with the wrong people? Sort of background. So,
But that was the thing. I mean, I don't know if you said that you're fine with, you're an open book and everything you've just said proves it. What made you decide to write Hammered?
I mentioned earlier that I was studying to become a counsellor for drug and alcohol. I don't have much of a criminal history. I have I don't have any violence charges or anything. I was never a violent person unless I was given no choice. And even then, I'd rather move away than have to deal in that regard. But I do have shoplifting and things like that. And the killer was the drug dealing charges.
Okay.
So I couldn't get placement after my first year of the Diploma of Community Welfare Work. I needed to get 12 weeks placement with a drug facility, a methadone prescription, doctor's surgery, or a drug rehab center or something. And I couldn't get that in regional Victoria, so I couldn't study my second year.
Right.
So I thought, bugger it. Writing's always been a love. The teacher of psychology for the Diploma of Welfare Work was also the head of the writing course. And he said to me, why don't you come over and do this? So I did. And I thought, well, if I can't counsel people and help them, I'll write about my own experiences, and hopefully that gives them some inspiration and help them.
Okay.
I'll write honestly and truthfully. I won't sugarcoat it and make excuses. I won't say it's a great, glorious, fun lifestyle. I will tell the truth about the life of addiction and what the lifestyle is like and how I got there. What led me to that.
Wow.
And how I got out of it. And how it's possible with the right support and enough access to detox and rehab services for people who really want to get out of that lifestyle to do so. So that was my effort at counselling, publishing Hammered. And it worked out to be a real good thing for my own mental health. It was really, it was good to write. It was hard. I had to put myself back into the emotional state throughout my entire journey, different aspects of. It was hard as hell, but it was cathartic. The day it was first published by a publisher in Melbourne, Legume Man Press, who closed down. It wasn't as a result of publishing my book, I promise. It was one of their best sellers. It actually sold 10,000 copies through
wow.
them, which is not bad for a tiny press in Melbourne.
Yeah.
Sold worldwide. But it was good. It was cathartic. It was my way of helping myself and giving something to the community that could be read by people who were suffering from addiction or families who were suffering from having an addicted loved one.
Yeah.
To actually see the other side of the life.
Yeah. Getting an understanding of what's going through their head.
Yeah, to give them an inside view of what the lifestyle is like, and how nobody ever wakes up one morning and says, my inspiration, my goal in life is to become a hopeless addict, and makes a choice to go down that road.
Yeah.
It's often the result of small choices that lead on from each other and veer you away from where your life could have been.
Yeah.
If not for whatever set you off down that very first choice.
Yeah.
With me, it was childhood sexual abuse.
Jeez.
And the need to then dull that pain, to fill that gaping hole that had left inside me.
Fuck.
And when I first wrote Hammered, the editor of Lagoon Man, I hinted towards that, but I didn't actually outline the actual occurrences and what happened and what really led me there. She sent it back and said, no, you can't have this. You can't have all these things that you've done without showing what led you there. So it became the pivotal point within the memoir.
Right. Jeez. You seem well adjusted now.
It is what it is. It led me to who I am, and I'm happy with who I am, even if some people aren't, because I'm an asshole. But I am where I am, and I'm happy.
Yeah.
I'm sort of like Popeye. I am what I am.
Well, yeah, and it goes back to what we were saying the other day through Messenger about, all of our experiences. There are lessons there, and it does, it gets us where we've got to be.
Yes, exactly. We are the result of everything we have been through in our lives, good and bad.
Oh, yeah.
And if you're happy with who you are, then it's a necessity that you went through what you went through to become who you are.
Well
And I'm
said.
pretty happy. We own an asylum. I'm committed. My folks always said I'd be thrown in an asylum one of these years. It's a shame they're not around to have seen it. You're right, Mum and Dad. You're up there watching.
And
but hey, 20 years clean. 20 years off the drugs.
Nice. Congratulations.
Oh, yeah, about 18. Yeah, close to 20.
Round it up.
Rounded up, yeah.
Yeah.
But yep, so a long time.
Wow. And sorry, I've got a dog who's I've got a puppy who's periodically crying and banging on doors.
Oh, poor thing.
Oh, he's an Italian Mastiff. This
Poor big thing.
Yeah, he's about 10 months and around 50 odd kilos.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, pup. Yep. Pup the
Oh, yeah.
size of a freight train.
Yeah, wonderful dog. And not sugarcoating, like, I don't want to like focus too much on it, but like not sugarcoating Hammered and being as raw as possible. Did that also did that help you when it comes to, say, editing the anthologies and saying, okay, look, you've got a hint of something here, bring it all out?
Yeah, yeah, it does. Editors have to be kind but harsh. What I call the best way to deal with things when you're dealing with a writer, and writers put their soul into what they write. So you have to be careful with that. You can't just send it back and say, this is shit. You have to give them what I call a shit sandwich. This is wonderful work. I really love this aspect of it. You've done so well to bring that character to the fore. This particular section, we need a rewrite, or we need to cut this because this takes away from the proper tonal resonation of the work, or it takes away from the pacing. You could probably put that as flashbacks or bring it up in dialogue within later sections, and that would get rid of this and still keep what you needed to keep. But overall, this is a really great piece. I love this ending. So you sandwich the negative or the constructive criticism within. This is great because they usually are great.
Yeah.
If we choose to work with them, they're great. We have it's been great to work with. We've been lucky enough to work with some exceptional writers. People like Jonathan Mabry, who's well published.
Oh, yeah.
And people like Kirsten Cross, who we published first.
Wow.
And she's had 2 episodes of things looked at by Tim. And she's also worked with Tim, writing to demand for other things.
Wow. That's awesome. You must be so proud of all that.
We've done well. We've done well for our authors. We've helped them get to places they deserve to be. And that's a great thing.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. And as you said, you're doing it for the love.
Yeah, exactly. Although we're not a for the love market, thank God. We pay well because people pay the goddamn authors.
Yeah.
As Harlan said in his famous rant, pay the goddamn authors.
Oh, yes. So I usually have 2 questions I finish these chats with, and I'm really curious to see your point of view on them. Okay.
I didn't do it, whatever it was, unless it was good, in which case I may have been involved, but not at a really structural level. Sorry.
Good answers. The first one is, the first one, and everyone else is always writers, and you write yourself and all that. So as a publisher as well, what makes horror fun for you to, write, release, tour in?
Human condition. Horror, as well as and better than a lot of other genres, examines the human condition and how people react under pressure and under danger. And that is our little sub niche, how people react and whether the true heroism inherent in so many people comes forward.
That's a good answer.
Last Stand, one of our recent releases, the one that Tim Miller wrote his intro for. That was his idea, Last Stand, for a theme, because he loves Last Stand. He's a sucker for them. And how people react under that. We're not going to make this, but we have a job to do, and we are going to do it to the very best of our ability, even though we know we're going to die doing it, where it's a greater cause than our lives. The human condition, The greatest heroes come from the meekest people. And sometimes the loudest voices fall by the wayside when the pressure is truly on.
Oh yeah, that sums it up perfectly. You've been asked this question before?
No.
Oh,
To some degree, but yeah, not quite in that phrasing. But yeah, I have, I guess, because I talked to Zoom presentations for a US writing website that people go to them and do short courses in different genres. Autocrit.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Every month I'd go and speak to the latest round of horror students, and yeah.
Nice. Good. Nice. You're really giving a lot back, aren't you?
They pay me, okay? I'm not quite so giving in that regard, but I tend to pay it forward as much as possible. If people are going to throw money at me to talk, I'm fine, because talk is one of my favorite things.
Well, yeah, and also if you're, and for all authors, all love to talk because we're always kind of huddled away in the cell, pounding out the words. So coming out like this,
we've all got a story to tell, and sometimes we just love to tell it.
Yep,
vocally.
Definitely. And so the last question: if someone comes up to you and says, I watched the interview you did with, you did on Behind the Keyboard. You've inspired me. I love the SNAFU stuff. I want to start my own publishing house, or I want to become a writer. What's the one piece of advice you give them?
If you want to publish, learn the skills or find the people that have them and publish. If you want to write. Just do it. Nike. Do it and let all your doubts fall by the wayside. Just do it. The more you do it, the more practice you get, the better you get. Read about the process. Yep. Stephen King's On Writing is a great start for any writer. Talk to people, join communities, talk on social networks, work out the difference between bad advice and good advice. Look at what people have done with their career before you start taking career advice from them, but talk to people and do the goddamn thing. And for both, read a lot as well. If you haven't got another King thing, if you haven't got the time to read, you don't have the time to write. You should be reading because that's where you learn what works for you and how other people have done what works for you, so you can then grow your own style.
Yep.
Just do it, for God's sake. Don't talk about doing it. Don't say, geez, I wish I could do it. Just do it.
I had a friend in Mexico who, he wanted to be a movie maker and he always had trouble getting scripts finished. And I always told him, write the fucker.
Yeah, just write it out. It doesn't matter if it's shit the first time. That's what edits and rewrites are for. Just get your goddamn story down on digital paper or real paper, if that's your thing.
Well, yeah, and then get it up on the, go from real to the digital. So
yeah, and edit, rewrite. That's where the true magic happens in rewrites. The concept is there for the first draft, the magic in the rewrites and the editing.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Now, where can everyone find you, get in contact with you, all that wonderful stuff?
CohesionPress.com, AsylumGhostTours.com. I tend to say, talk a lot of shit on Facebook, so people can always connect to me via social networking. I don't Twitter too well because what I have to say usually uses more characters than they allow. And come along to the goddamn Asylum Fest if you're in the southern half or the east coast of the eastern seaboard of Australia. Get your goddamn tickets, $5 a head for the whole weekend. You can't go wrong with that price. It's only there to keep a track of people. And if you already had 50 tickets, I thought, well, if people get tickets for free, they won't turn up. We'll only have 3 people there because they'll get their ticket and they won't bother. If they've got to pay for it, they might value it a bit more.
Oh, definitely.
And come along and do a ghost tour. I'm always there on the weekends. My wife and I run the foyer Saturday and Sunday. If you're in town, come up and see us. We sell our books there as well.
Nice. Sir, Geoff, thank you so much for coming on.
You're very welcome, I think. And we'll see what people think of the episode, shall we?
Definitely. And once again, a big thank you to Geoff Brown for coming on today. You can find links to Geoff's work below in the description, also links to Cohesion Press. And if you have any author you'd like to see me interview, please feel free to put them in the comments. Also, if you are an author yourself and you'd like to come on for a chat, feel free to reach out. I'm RF Blackstone, this is Behind the Keyboard, and until next time, boils and ghouls, stay spooky.